Welcome back, guys, to the fitness podcast. I'm just going to clear my throat. Today, with me, I have Adam Martin, and he's a good friend of mine and a coach in this industry. And we're going to bring a good conversation to you guys and hope you enjoy it. So, hi, Adam.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've talked plenty in the past, and I enjoy having conversations with you as always. So I think
Yeah,
today's going to be awesome.
always a good conversation.
Yeah. Um, so what I want to first open up with today is actually to ask you, what does fitness mean to you?
Ooh, what a question to start with. Um, I guess to me, it's a sense of sort of empowerment. It's something that it's changed over the years, definitely. For me, like when I first got into fitness and first got into training and that type of stuff, it was purely vanity based. Or that's what I thought at the time. Like I thought it was purely for vanity, but like there was always that underlying thing of just like, if I can change myself physically, then it may have a mental impact, and I'll start to feel more confident in myself, and I'll start to feel better, and like that type of stuff. And it's essentially that it's the sense of empowerment that sort of having that control over your physical self can give you. And I think that's essentially what I try to sort of convey to people, and what I try to communicate with clients and stuff like that. It's deeper than what you can see on the surface level.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I think if you ask pretty much anyone who started training, it started off with vanity, right? It was for myself as well. It starts with there's something I'm not happy about,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I can change that by doing something, right?
Yeah.
And then you discover, right, what it actually means to get into the fitness world. But how old were you when you kind of made those decisions?
I was 17, so like quite sort of. I feel like in this sort of day and age at the minute, like a bit of a late bloomer to it. Like people get into it young now, and I'm still undecided as to whether that is a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, I was 17. It was just sort of just getting to that point of finishing sixth form, finishing school, moving on to university, that type of thing.
Yeah. And what were you like, what were your reasons for starting? Like, I know that I started because I was the super skinny girl initially who had like no curves, and I thought, well, I can create curves if I do my squats and my hip thrusts, I can create curves, right? So that was like my reason for going. Like, I didn't want to be this flat. I mean, I'm still flat in many parts of me, but like, I didn't want to be just flat and non-existent and
Yeah.
look like a boy for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
That was like my drive. What was your drive?
Pretty similar. I was the super skinny guy with no curves. Yeah, I was just always very just very small, very skinny, like not very, like a gust of wind would blow me over. So like it was just, and I was never particularly happy with that. But it's not something I really, when I was younger, I didn't really know to sort of think about it. It was just the way that it was, and it's just like, yeah, I'm just naturally small, it's fine. But then when you get to 16, 17, 18, it's like, all right, I actually, like, I don't feel particularly confident with the way that I look, and like that type of thing. And it was just like, if I can sort of make myself bigger, then maybe my personality will go with it, and like that type of thing. And it was all that type of thing. So it was just essentially wanting to get bigger,
Yeah,
which I imagine most lads can agree to.
yeah, 100%. um that's pretty cool. So what happened? Like, did you become this guy who went every day and it became like an obsessive thing, or was it like this gradual build up, or did you like love it from the get-go, or did you find that there was a big transition between, hey, actually I really enjoy doing this, it's not just something because I need to change,
Mhm.
now it's because I actually enjoy it?
It was very, like, mentally I was all in. Physically, I've always been really sensible. So like even from day one, I was just like, I'll go 3 times a week, like that'll be fine. Like I'll go 3 times as well. Was a proper, like, spit and sawdust gym. Like I actually live around the corner from it now. It's on my street. It's quite funny, but it was like a proper, like, hardcore old school wasn't the type of environment where I actually felt naturally comfortable. So it was something that I was really wanting to do, but was also a little bit hesitant to go that frequently. So it was like I just went 3 times a week initially, and then it eventually progressed to, okay, I'm comfortable with this now. We'll bump that up, and we'll start going 4 times a week. And it was conservative in my approach, but like up top, I was invested from day one, like straight away.
Yeah. Did you ever have a coach?
I didn't know.
No.
Not at the beginning. No, it was the guy who owned the gym. He competed in bodybuilding. It was one of those types of things. And I actually remember when the first day I went into the gym, it was like, I don't really know what to do. So it was like me and one of my mates were just like, oh, we'll just do some curls, because that's all that we knew. Like, just do some dumbbell curls. And the owner of the gym came over and was like, if you're gonna come to the gym and you've got some goals, then squat, bench, and deadlift. Do that every session. Like, just like basically do, like, it was, I can't remember what it was that he said. I think it was like work up to a heavy set of 5 on a squat, bench, and deadlift, and then do some cable row for 3 sets of 10. It's like, just do that 3 times a week. And it's like, obviously, with a coach's head on now, it's like that's not really a good idea. But at the time, it worked. It was.
I think that was a pretty good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Frequency, keeping it simple. I mean, maybe we can debate whether it was simple exercises, but getting the frequency in of actually repeating them, and then aiming for a target that's going to be strength eventually, and then do some accessory work. I think that was awesome.
Yeah, like it worked, and it's like I still, like, I still credit him quite heavily for that to this day, because most people wouldn't make the effort to go over and be like, here's 2 lads who don't know what they're doing. Like, I'll just go and help. I'll just go and tell them what to do, and then I'll leave them to it. Like, it's fine.
That's what I love about passionate fitness people, right? Mm-hmm. They want other people to really understand the meaning of what training is and what it will give you, right? And he saw that. He saw, oh, these 2 lost guys, I have the opportunity to have a positive impact. I remember when I signed up to my first gym, I went straight to the abductor, good girl, bad girl machine. Yeah. Didn't know what I was doing. I was a little bit scared. It was just guys in the gym, and I was like, eh. And then I started doing classes, because that was a little bit more less scary and more women. But then I realized that was freaking boring as well. Yeah. And but that's super interesting. So I want to come back to this, but I actually want to ask another question. Like, what actually makes you get up in the morning?
Coffee.
Coffee with ads. If you guys want to listen to another podcast, we got Coffee with Ads available everywhere, right?
Yes, that you're giving me the kick now that I still need to actually start that. So
you haven't actually started yet.
You know how my life's been at the minute. But yeah, so that will be getting started. But yeah, Coffee with Ads, coming to a podcast hosting site near you very soon. Cheeky plug. Yeah, what gets me up in the morning? It's like, it sounds really, really cliche, but like, I just like helping people. And it's something that I've always been like. We've had conversations in the past about how I'm a people pleaser. It's just sort of the way that I'm made. So it is that type of thing. Like, I've managed to sort of channel that into a way that I get to essentially do that for work to a degree. Like, obviously a lot of what we do isn't to appease people or to keep them happy all the time, but it's that feeling of, I get to get up tomorrow and I get to speak to all of my clients, and I get to guide them down the path working towards what I sort of like to coin their own sort of idea of excellence. And I get to do that every single day. And it's like, there's never a day where I'll get messages from clients late at night and I'll roll my eyes. Like, that never happens. I'm just like, yeah, it's weird. Like, whatever it is we're doing, I'll say to my girlfriend, I'll just be like, oh, I've just got a message, I've just got to sort this. And it's like, obviously there's a limit to how far that goes, but it's just the enjoyment of doing that. Like, I'll wake up every morning and I'm happy to just go and do that.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it sounds cliche, but what else would you say here?
Exactly. Why else are you in the job?
Like, why do you wake up to live? Well, we wake up to live to fill our life with the things that we want to do. And if we are lucky to do that as a profession,
Mhm.
fucking hell, we are. There was the first cursing, I think. We said
Ah,
we weren't going to do this. We
you
weren't
beat
going
me
to
to it.
curse. I opened Pandora's. No, but like, it's the truth though. How lucky am I and you to be able to wake up and do the things we love and have a positive impact on someone else's life. I'm so grateful for what I do. So yeah, if you didn't say that, I'll be like, what's wrong with you?
I know,
You
that's
know?
another job.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned coffee, but what are your like 3 things that you do in your morning routine that
Um, so, like, wake up and get a shower first thing. I'm sort of like, I know that's like, it sounds like what like it's a completely normal thing to get up and do, but I'm sort of like as soon as I open my eyes, the first thing that comes into my mind is I need to get in the shower. Like, it's just I feel like I can't do anything else until I've had a shower. Um, so it's get up, shower, um,
you do
get
cold
myself
showers
ready.
or warm showers?
I get warm showers and I finish with cold. So I'll just turn it down to cold for like a minute or so. Um, more so in the winter, because it actually, obviously there's all the benefits of the cold shower, but it just makes it easier to get out the shower in the winter when it's cold, because it feels warmer when you get out. But yeah, finish with cold just to sort of see myself off, and then yeah, just sort of get myself ready, make a coffee, sit at the desk, crack on. Like, there's not really that much in between.
No, but I know that you read some Stoicism, right?
Yes, so that is when I sit at the desk. Yeah, the Daily Stoic comes out. I'll put it on my. Anyone else who follows me on Instagram need not buy that book, because I just put a picture of it up every day. So there's no point in buying it. But yeah, so yeah, it'll be the Daily Stoic with the coffee, and then I'll crack on.
Yeah. When did you come across the Stoicism?
It was towards the back end of, I think towards the back end of 2018 was when I first sort of was like made aware of like the concept and like all that type of stuff. And I didn't really do much with it at that time. I used to find philosophy very, very, like, very confusing. Like, it just seemed miserable, and I was just like, I don't understand what this is. And then it was sort of mid to the back end of 2019 that I was definitely getting a bit more into it, and then bought the Daily Stoic at the end of 2019. Um, Helped me massively through the shit show that was 2020. Like, it was just, I found myself like, I'm not massively into the whole sort of like, manifestation type stuff. It's like that doesn't really. It's like I am and I'm not. It's like that's there, but it's more in the realms of like, the manifestation that you're looking for is in the work that you're not doing type thing. Like, I sort of look at it that way, but there was things that were happening throughout last year where something would happen, and say like the first lockdown, or being told I had to close the gym. Like, on the day that happened, it's like my world was essentially crumbling around me. And I picked up the Daily Stoic. I hadn't read it yet that day. Opened it, and it was basically just like, what, essentially like along the lines of what is meant to be will be. And it was like, you're prepared for this. Da, da, da. And I was just like, shit, like that's exactly what I needed to read right now. And then each day after that was basically walking. It felt like it was literally walking me through the process of everything that I needed to do to protect my business, to help my clients, to prepare myself mentally for the onslaught that was going to be the rest of the year. And it literally just felt like it was taking me through it step by step. And it's that sort of really solidified it for me. Then it's like, it's now something that I will never do without.
Yeah. I remember when I first came across it, and it was like the light switch just turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed my entire life. Like, that's the impact of one quote, what it can do for you when it's the right time at the right moment, and all of a sudden you're reciprocal to it. It's like, wow. So yeah, I was exposed to it. I think it was the first time I properly got into reading about it. It was probably like 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's been a big part of my life ever since, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I've had masterminds where I've dedicated a whole session to philosophy, because I believe its impact on our psyche and our mentality, right? So yeah, and I had to rebuy the Daily Stoic because I gave it away because I thought it was so good and I had to give it away to someone. But then I have it again, but I haven't actually picked it up. It's there, but it's like, yeah, it's in my cupboard with a lot of other books I want to read again.
It's the type of thing I find, because it's small, that like that book particularly, it's small, it's just small daily snippets, and the first time you sort of go through it, it may not feel like you're actually taking much from it, and it's like, you know, I'm on my second year of reading it every day now, and it's like I find, and I'm sort of able to use what I've learned from it without realizing, and then it's like I'll come to that point in a couple of months and be like, oh shit, like that's what I was saying to this person, that's what I was thinking, that's how I've presented this thing.
Right, guys, we had a little bit of a technical error here with the Wi-Fi, but we are back talking about the Daily Stoic here. Actually, I'm going to divert here because I want to get into talking about how you as a coach maybe use some of this philosophy in your coaching. I know that you are mainly training a lot of women. I know you train guys as well, but you're kind of specializing in training women, and you get incredible results in women. So I'm myself a woman, you are not a woman. How did that end up being your expertise? And I want to talk about like the dynamics between men and women as well, and in the fitness. So let's go.
So at the beginning, it wasn't sort of my intent. You know, when you sort of first start in the industry, you don't really have, you know, you may have sort of grand ideas of what you want to be doing, but you'll work with anyone, like anyone who will give you money. You're just like, yeah, go on, yeah, I can do that. I can help you get ready for a golf tournament. I can do that. Like, it's just, you'll take anything. And I don't know if it's mostly sort of like an environmental thing of like where I live or anything like that, but basically the only clients I was getting at the beginning were female. And I think that is sort of a natural thing. Like the vast majority, especially in your early days as a PT and stuff like that, is your demographic is mostly just going to be female fat loss. And like that's sort of the vast majority of what you'll find that you start to attract. And it was, so at the beginning, it was something that it wasn't intentional, but it just sort of happened. But it forced me to have to understand relatively quickly the differences between a male and a female, because up until that point, my only experience of training anyone was training myself. So I initially would just be like, if it works for me, it works for them. And it's like, I learned very, very quickly that it doesn't. So it was like that initial exposure to only working with female clients was essentially what then forced me to have to dive deeper into what it actually means, and like the, you know, female physiology, the structural differences, like all kinds of things that I had to learn pretty quickly. And then the more I delved into that, the more I just found it super interesting. So then the more it became, okay, I work with females by design now. That's what I do, because I've spent the past 6 years immersing myself in everything that it means to essentially like be a female, and like what it takes in order to achieve a result in a way that is actually, you know, has the next 40 years in mind, versus I can get you really, really lean and it doesn't really matter at what cost. Like it's taken all of that into consideration. And the more that I've done that, the more that I've, like, as you said before, it's not that I don't train guys. It's just, it's a completely different ball game. And it's like when you have all of the skill set essentially that it takes to train a female to that level, when it comes to doing it with a guy, it's pretty easy. Like it's not really.
It's like if you have gone into the jungle of being a lady, then you can go out to the pavement of what it's like to be a guy, right? You just go straight ahead. So yeah, what actually fascinates you the most though about training women, or women in general? We can no, but like fitness related, like what have you come across that you like, actually this is pretty interesting?
It sounds a bit weird. It's the differences, because obviously I know everyone's different, but like if I get 5 guys through the door, like largely the same approach, is that they're all going to have roughly the same goals, the same approach is largely going to work, even though they're all completely different people. They're all going to have sort of roughly the same mindset. They're all going to respond relatively in the same way, and like that type of thing. Whereas with females, it's like there's so many things at play. Everyone responds to things differently in an emotional sense. Everyone has different thoughts of themselves and what they're capable of. Everyone experiences different sort of symptoms and has different reactions to different phases throughout the menstrual cycle, like everything like that. So it's like, even if you get 5 people, 5 women through the door who all have the same goal, that every single thing has to be completely bespoke. So it's like, it's the idea that every single time I consult with a new client, when she comes on board, it's like, you are a completely fresh project. Like there's absolutely nothing really that I can pull from anyone else. Even if I can find someone who's the same weight, the same height, has the same goals, the same age, it's still different. And it's that, I think that it's essentially the thing of like, every time I take someone on, it's that thing of like, I have to try really, really hard here. Like there's a lot that I have to dive into, and I can't just sort of coast. Like it forces me to sort of be on my A game all the time, because there's that much that we have to contend with, that it's that I find interesting. It keeps me challenged.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like training women, it's like it allows you to not become stagnant in your way of thinking. And I believe stagnation is the key, or it's the straight road to like being bored, and boredom is the straight road to being unhappy, right? So more women. No, I'm just kidding. But it's really yeah, but I agree. Although like sometimes I think for me as a female trainer and I train, I think actually I have probably 50-50. I can't say that I have a demographic. It's so diverse. But I think I still enjoy the beasting and telling people what to do, and like I'm a woman, I'm going to tell a man what to do. I don't know if I have a slight feminism in me, or I'm just like righteously like, nah, I'm the boss regardless of the sex in front of me. So if we talk about psychology, then what do you find is, when you first sit down with someone, like how do you process that person so that you can kind of approach them? So how would you know whether you would try to go this way or the other way, in terms of your approach? Like, do you have during your consultation, how do you not classify, but how do you approach your consultations to kind of get into under the shell and get all the information you need?
It's sort of, I have a lot of like longer term questioning. So it's like, a lot of the time we'll have, what would success look like for you over the next 6 months type thing. And that's what I then deem to be, okay, that's the short term. That's the reason why you've initially come to me. Like that's what you're thinking in your head, that is what you want. But I'll dive further into, okay, but like, how would achieving that actually impact your life? Negatively or positively? Like what way are we swinging? And then it's like, okay, and if you were to achieve that, like how would you actually feel, and what impact would that have on different areas of your life, whether that be in work, whether that be socially, whether that be with your family, like things like that. And it's all of these things that we then start to take into consideration. So it's not just, I want to get lean, and it's like, what will that mean for you? Oh, it means that I've got abs. And it's like, well, that's like, we need to look past that point, because I'm trying to assess mentally what you're actually looking for. Like, what is the feeling, what is the emotion, what is the actual eventual outcome that you're actually trying to get to? And then we can steer things in whatever direction that might be. It still may mean, yeah, you want to get lean, but along the way we also have these different processes that we need to work through, because what you're actually chasing is this feeling of X, or sort of, this understanding of Y, or something like that. It's those deeper level questions that I find can help me to gauge how I then will approach it, and whether we're going to be more aggressive in an approach, or whether we need to completely take a step back and go, okay, that's not actually right for you at the minute. What we need to do instead is this. And it allows me to sort of gauge essentially where they are coming from, to then know where it is that they actually want to get to.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's so important, that initial meeting, or couple meetings sometimes, I think, Um, yeah. So I don't know when we're going to actually release this episode, but obviously we're still in lockdown and the gyms are about to open.
Mhm.
What's your vision for 2021 in terms of your business, and what would you like to get out of this year?
So obviously, I think when we were speaking last year, my aim, this actually might be a bit of a surprise to any of my clients who listen to this, because I've not actually communicated it to a lot of them. My aim was to sort of move away from in-person coaching, and transition to solely online. Purely just it was the way things seemed to be naturally going. Um, but the more time I've taken away from the in-person stuff, the more I've actually started to like miss it and crave it a little bit. So it's still going to be limited. Like the way sort of the past year has gone, it means that both by design and just thanks to 2020, like around 90% of my business is now online anyway. So it actually feels a little bit, it's more of a choice to do the in-person type stuff. And because it feels like that and it doesn't feel like a necessity of how my business has to be, I'm really, really excited to get stuck into more of that. So it's like I think what day are we on now? It's Wednesday, isn't it? So we're about sort of 12 days until I can open the doors again. And it's like, yeah, it's that I'm really looking forward to sort of getting back in with people and sort of having that, probably because we've had no interaction over the past year, just having that actual interaction again with the clients on the gym floor and getting to see, like, it sounds a bit weird, but like seeing exercise like in motion, like it's just such an unbelievable thing to witness. And it's like that I really think I've missed. So I think for the rest of the year, it'll be essentially still continue to grow the online side, but have that in-person contact still running alongside it, just for the fulfillment element.
Yeah, I agree. And also for the people who are going to be watching this on YouTube, it's not a virtual background. I always keep joking that he has an awesome virtual background, but it's actually Adam's gym that is behind him. So obviously you got a really nice facility, and I think a lot of people will be quite jealous of having a facility where you have the freedom, right?
Definitely.
I think myself, because I haven't done in-house training for 2.5 years, there is an itch. There's
Mm-hmm.
definitely an itch. And again, not for the financial reasons at all. If I go back, it's purely because it's such a pleasure to teach someone how to move without
Mm-hmm.
pain, how to move freely, how to really build someone up. And also seeing, I don't know if we go back to the whole thing about where we started, seeing the confidence that builds up when you learn to move properly, when you see you're getting stronger. I mean, it is, I think, the most rewarding thing to see, like in face to face, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe,
Seeing how people carry themselves, and how even little things like how to unrack the leg press and stuff like that. It's like I'll still have some clients that have gesture next, that's where the leg press is, but it's like I'll have some clients who just out of habit they'll jump on the leg press and they'll go, "What am I doing here again? Like, how do I unwrap the pit?" Now mine is a bit of a confusing one, but it's like, how am I doing that? And then it's when that starts to dissipate, and it's like it's like, okay, we're going to move on to this, and it's sweet, and they just know exactly what they're doing. And they don't need to, I don't need to tell them where to put their feet. I don't need to tell them how to brace themselves. I don't need to tell them how to unrack. I don't need, and it's essentially they're able to guide themselves. And I'm just there to every now and then be like, let's just try that. Let's just do this. Like just slight adjustments. And I get to just watch. And
and
it's just, you cannot beat that.
And I think if we're going to speak directly to the hearts of our clients, at least the in-house clients, like, it gives us so much satisfaction to see you on that journey. Because I think if we're going to step into the shoes of clients, we're just seeing, oh, it's exercise, it's hard, or, I'm not doing it right. Or so there's a lot of like internal talk within a client's head.
Yeah.
Whereas where we're seeing is like every week seeing that someone's mastering something step by step. And it's beautiful. Like I like to say that fitness is a holistic spiritual game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I think this is, if we go back to the start, it's like, this is why we stayed in it, because we realized the spirituality and the holistic, like wholesome thing that it gives you. It's not just sweat, tears, and blood and screaming men in tank tops.
Yeah.
Like it's so much more than that. And also those guys, you know, the guy who first showed you or told you what to do, he was
Mhm.
probably super connected to himself and his body, and like it's a really cool thing to see people when it clicks right. It's like,
Yeah.
you get it now. It's like, my
Yeah.
job is now done in terms
Yeah,
of that.
exactly. Yeah.
I think that's the point when you feel like, yes, I've changed your life. Okay, I can still teach you things. You can, but you can do this, and you have connected to the cause of why we do this. And like, that is, I think, the greatest reward that we have as coaches. I don't know, it's at least for me.
Yeah, 100%. It's helping people to develop that level of, like, that level of autonomy with how they do things and how they perform things, and they no longer feel like they need to rely on me to guide them through it and talk them through it. Like, they're able to get themselves into that state and do it themselves, and I'm just there as to sort of oversee things
Yeah,
and,
and also
get a few extra rocks at the end.
bring your expertise, because at the end of the day, of course, it's not rocket science what we do, but we can fast track your results because we understand mechanics, we understand programming, we understand certain things. But the goal is still for you to maybe want to have a coach where you are autonomous, but see the benefits of having someone there to check you. Like, I actually have a coach. I have once a week, maybe twice a week, when I train with my friend who actually got me into fitness. Oh my God, how old am I? Well, say 17 years ago. You know, he was the first guy who wrote me a training plan, and like, I've actually seen him obviously he's in Sweden and now I moved back, but every time I would come back, I would come and see him, because you have blind spots
Mm-hmm.
and you can always learn.
Yeah, yeah.
And you strive to become better. Sometimes you need that little bit of help. um, so yeah, what else? I think really what I just want to kind of finish with is actually saying, get your shit together and start your podcast, because I think because I think you have good stuff to share, right? And I think having some pressure on getting it together,
Yeah.
it's going to be a good thing for you. But also maybe share with our listeners, where can we find you? Where are you based? Give us everything that you want to share here, and yeah.
So I'm based in Liverpool. From like a one-to-one perspective, I've got my studio in Liverpool. Online, I am based worldwide, so you can get me anywhere. You'll probably mostly find me on Instagram, which is Adam_Martin_coaching. That's generally where I tend to sort of post the vast majority of my content. Some of it, like, it goes to Facebook automatically, but I honestly can't remember the last time I used Facebook. And my website is www.adammartincoaching.co.uk.
Excellent. And I have a last question for you.
Fire away.
What do you want to be remembered as?
Oh, what do I want to be remembered as? A good guy. It's like, everyone sort of has these ideas of like legacy, don't they? And it's like what they want to leave behind and stuff. And it's like, there's elements, you could call it that, you could say that I don't have a massive vision. It's like, I just want to be remembered for being helpful, and like, I enjoy it when I'll have clients who say will be with me for sort of a prolonged period of time, and then they'll move on, and they'll forever sort of remember the impact that I was able to have. And it's sort of, it's that type thing. It's not like I want this massive, fanfare or anything. It's just to be able to help people in such a way that they never essentially need to go to anyone else for help after that point. It's like, I want to be able to create sufficient people. Like, it's just, if you come to me for something, I want to be the last person that you have to pay for help with that. And then once we're done, you never need to question anything ever again. Like, you've got all of the tools that you need to be able to succeed at everything that you then want to do. And, obviously we do that through fitness, but it's so much further ranging than that. And if you can develop the the sufficiency and like that autonomy with the physical self, you can translate that to anything else.
Amen. Thank you so much for coming on.
No problem
It's
at all.
a
Thanks for
pleasure.
having me.
And for you listeners, give us some feedback, and we'll speak to you again soon.